Nine Flames Sovereign Chapter 1, Korean Style. Break Jin Country, people in the city. On the martial arts square of the Han family, early in the morning, one after another, children from 10 to 15 years old came here to practice martial arts, and when these children arrived, they had already seen one after another. The 13-year-old boy, who looks between ordinary and delicate, makes various movements on the martial arts field. It's the earliest Han Feng came again. It has been 3 years in a row. Yes, it's a pity, it's obviously a 4th class qualification, even higher than ours, but because of physical problems, I haven't cultivated my internal energy after so many years of hard work. I heard that the patriarch and others are very disappointed. Many children and teenagers between the ages of 10 and 15 muttered. This one who spoke, obviously feels a bit pity at Han Feng's situation. But there is also a sarcasm. Han Feng's father is a trash, and doing such things has caused us the Han family to lose a lot. I am afraid that this is the retribution to Han Feng's father, and the retribution is to his son. The young man who is speaking is called Han Lin, Han Feng's cousin. Now he is more than 14 years old and has opened 3 main lines. Among the young people under the age of 15 in the Han family, he can be said to be a leader. If the wind is strong, the only thing inferior to Han Feng is the qualification. Han Feng's aptitude is 4th class, while Han Lin's aptitude is 5th class, which is lower than Han Feng's. After Han Feng's aptitude was measured, Han Lin was very upset. Who knew Han Feng's body but didn't know what the reason was that it was unable to generate internal energy and wasted the 4th level qualifications, which made Han Lin breathe out. Because of this, Han Lin always liked to ridicule Han Feng. Is actually jealous. If Han Lin himself had a 4th class qualification, he might have already opened up 4 or even 5 main veins. Han Feng, the core character of many children's discussions, did not seem to have heard him. He still exercised his body and was familiar with the basic long boxing and basic leg techniques taught by his family. Not long after, when all the children and teenagers arrived, they began to exercise basic long punches and basic leg skills. Whether it's the basic long boxing and basic boxing methods, there are 9 types. Han Feng played it back and forth several times, slowly returning to work, and exhaled. I can't be proficient in the basic long boxing and basic legs. Inner strength, these people are not my opponents, but... At this point, Han Feng shook his head, but there was no bitterness on his face, as if he was not disappointed at all that he hadn't developed any internal energy after 3 years of cultivation. Even, when Han Feng heard the discussion and pity of him from the surrounding teenagers, the corners of his mouth curled up, which seemed quite mysterious. He touched his heart without a trace, and the light in Han Feng's eyes flashed. 3 years from the beginning of cultivation. I have a hunch, at most a few days, or even today, I can unlock it. This secret, then. Immediately, Han Feng began to practice basic boxing and basic legs. At this time, a middle-aged man came to the martial arts field. As soon as this man appeared, all the children and teenagers on the martial arts field straightened their waists for fear of being reprimanded. This middle-aged man is an instructor surnamed from outside the Han family, surnamed Lin, and is known as Instructor Lin. His cultivation has reached the 4-star rank, and he is not considered a weak person in the Han family. Instructor Lin's teachings are very strict. The children and teenagers in the martial arts training ground are only 15 years old and have never gone out to practice. They are very in awe of Instructor Lin. Instructor Lin saw that the staff arrived and said loudly, "My sons from the Han family, I have been teaching you basic boxing and basic legging for nearly 3 years. Originally, I didn't intend to give it to you before you reached the age of 15. This year of yours is 1 level stronger than the previous one. The strongest Han Lin is not far from getting through the 4th main line, so yesterday you got the approval of the patriarch to teach you claw condensation in advance." Wow! The crowd suddenly became in an uproar. The condensing claw technique is an extremely superior existence among the basic martial arts. Generally, only those martial artists who have opened up 5 or 6 main lines will be allowed to practice by the family, but they unexpectedly moved ahead. For a time, everyone's grateful eyes fell on Han Lin. Han Lin is the warrior who is about to get through the 4 main veins. Feeling the gratitude of everyone, Han Lin was very proud. Han Feng's eyes flashed with fiery eyes. Condensing claw skills, basic martial arts skills. The previous basic Chengquan and basic leg techniques were both basic and inferior martial arts. Even if they were rewarded, they actually crossed the basic intermediate martial arts level. Quote. Instructor Lin asked everyone to stand separately, and then his face changed abruptly, and a fierce and mighty breath came out, and there was even a trace of evil spirit. None of these Han boys have experienced this kind of experience. They were all made pale by such fierce aura. Han Feng also had a bad complexion and his body was shaking slightly. This is because Instructor Lin did not target them, otherwise. Human rank martial artist, really powerful, like the human rank 4-star. What kind of situation will the patriarch grandpa who has reached the human rank 10-star strength? Han Feng thought in shock. For a while, Han Feng fell into the adoration of powerful warriors, not only Han Feng, but also other teenagers. Drink. Instructor Lin screamed sharply, his palms quickly condensed into claws, and one claw grabbed it. The huge rock in front of Instructor Lin was snapped to pieces in an instant, and then Instructor Lin shook quickly again, using a variety of moves. For a long time, Instructor Lin put away the offensive. The atmosphere before suddenly returned to normal, and many young people looked at Instructor Lin with fiery eyes. Instructor Lin smiled slightly and began to show slowly while emphasizing some key points. Okay, there are only so many key points of claw condensation, everyone practice on the spot. Han Feng stood on the spot and closed his eyes. He kept thinking about every movement of Instructor Lin before. For a long time, Han Feng opened his eyes abruptly, and his movements started slowly. At first they were a bit jerky, but slowly, his movements became more and more proficient. The speed is getting faster and faster. Although it can't be compared with Instructor Lin, at least it can be fully displayed. Instructor Lin swept the audience and paused on Han Feng's body. Sure enough, it is Han Feng who is the first to show this. Such extraordinary comprehension ability, his own qualifications are 4th class, in the future. It's a pity that something went wrong with my body, alas. Instructor Lin shook his head, it was a pity that he had lost such a good seed. After Han Feng performed the Ning Claw technique completely, the other teenagers stopped their bodies and took a look, and then they started their own practice, but they started talking with each other again. Every time it seems that Han Feng is the first to fully display his tricks. Before, I thought that the basic martial arts is too simple, but the condensing claw skill is superior to the basics. I didn't expect it to still. Whatever he does, he can't cultivate his inner strength. Is there a flowery box that is useful? It is said that although we practice slowly, we still have internal energy. Recently, I am about to get through the first main vein. Hee, me too, step up your practice. Han Lin looked at Han Feng jealously, and then coldly said, waste is waste. I want to see it. When I practice human-level martial arts in the future, I need to mobilize the true energy in my body. At that time, I see how you lead. Quote. Time flies, and 2 hours have passed. Instructor Lin waved his hand and said, today, everyone has a good result. 4 people can barely use the claw skill to make several moves in a consistent manner. If you continue to work hard, you can only use the tricks. If you are proficient, you will not go wrong when urging your internal energy. Otherwise, your internal energy will be out of balance due to incorrect moves during the battle, but it will be broken. Oh. Many teenagers are still young, 13 or 14-year-olds are better, and 10 and 11-year-olds are very playful and run away like wind. Han Feng's face was flat. He walked out of the martial arts training ground slowly and walked towards his father's room. Pushed open the door of his father's room, and a handsome-looking man immediately got up and said, my son, come here, the food will soon be cold. 9 Flames Sovereign Chapter 2, Life Experience. Father, didn't you say you don't have to wait for me? The food is cold again. Han Feng stepped forward and said helplessly. Junya Man, Han Feng's father, with his full name Han Tiancheng, is now the 4th son of Han Yu, the patriarch of the Han family, and his qualifications are not high. Now he has only reached the human rank 4 stars. Although this kind of strength is the same as that of Instructor Lin, it is not too weak in the Han family, but Instructor Lin is a foreign surname after all, and his training resources are far inferior to the Han family's true direct lineage. What's more, Han Tiancheng is still the 4th son of the current Han family head. Although his qualifications are not good, Han Tiancheng has a lot of resources for cultivation. In such a comparison, the only 4 stars of human rank are not enough. The other 3 sons of Han Yu, and the first 3 uncles of Han Feng, the worst is also 8 stars of human rank, and the highest ones are 9 stars of human rank. It's nothing more than that, but Han Tiancheng did a daring thing, which caused the Han family to lose a lot, and even brought Han Feng to the Han family. Speaking of this, Han Feng was also quite speechless. Han Tiancheng is not very outgoing because of his aptitude, and it can even be said to be a little cowardly. During an outing experience, Han Tiancheng met a woman from a big family. Just this glance made Han Tiancheng fall in love at first sight. Han Tiancheng also knew that he was not worthy of such a woman, so he just followed the woman to a mountain range secretly. It is also Han Tiancheng's luck. After killing a powerful monster, the woman was hit by this monster poison. Now it's okay, the woman is devoted to martial arts. She doesn't care about passion, she doesn't care about love, and she has no idea that she must leave her body to the one she loves the most. Therefore, after discovering Han Tiancheng, she took Han Tiancheng cross the circle, and after finishing the work, he patted his asterisk and left. But in the later development, the woman was unexpectedly hit by a bullet and became pregnant. Although this woman is devoted to martial arts, she is also very curious about the life in her stomach, and decided to give birth. It is conceivable that this kind of thing, how can it be hidden from the family of the woman, if it is not for the woman to lose her virginity? It doesn't matter, the Han family is estimated to be annihilated. For that matter, the Han family also paid a heavy price to end the matter. During this process, everyone ignored that Han Tiancheng was the forced one. This woman is Han Feng's biological mother, and it was Han Feng who was pregnant with a shot. Han Feng was born, but his qualifications were only inferior grade. In Renjiangcheng, there are hardly anyone who surpasses the low-grade aptitude, and those above the 3rd class are rarely seen. Therefore, when talking about the martial artist's qualification level, the martial artist in Renjiangcheng directly ignores the previous low grade. Not nice. But in the family of Han Feng's biological mother, not to mention the 4th class inferior grade, it is the 1st class inferior grade, and it is also the first-rate waste wood. Only the top grade qualifications will be valued. Qualification level is divided into the middle and the top 4 grades and 36 grades. Each grade is divided into 9 grades, the 9th grade is the lowest and the 1st grade is the highest. Because of his poor aptitude, Han Feng's biological mother also considered Han Feng's awkward position in the family, and sent Han Feng back to the Han family. Sure enough, in that family's low-grade 4th class qualification, which was not valued by the family, in the Han family. But it attracted many eyes. The lower rank 3rd class means that this martial artist is extremely relaxed in the advanced human rank when he has the proper skills. The 3rd class aptitude of the character means that this martial artist can also cultivate to the middle and upper ranks in the human rank. And the 3rd class aptitude of character means that with the right technique and certain experience, it is entirely possible to break through the human rank and become a master of the mysterious rank. The 4th class aptitude of personality, even if it is very likely that it will not be able to break through to the mysterious stage, it is at least the 9-star human rank, and it is even possible to reach the 10-star human rank, the 11-star human rank, and the 12-star human rank under the full cultivation of the family. Now that the strongest person in the Han family is no more than 10 stars, why not pay attention to it? It's a pity that the senior officials of the Han family discovered that Han Feng's body actually had a problem that could not produce any internal energy at all. In other words, the internal energy often disappeared inexplicably. Naturally, the senior Han family no longer attaches much importance to Han Feng. However, Han Feng's mother came from a big family after all. Although Han Yu and others were disappointed with Han Feng, they did not dare to neglect Han Feng, and only the generation of Han Feng from the Han family might secretly disdain Han Feng. Han Tiancheng looked at Han Feng guiltily, and obviously he could see the contempt of Han Feng in the Han family. Under such gaze, Han Feng depressed after eating his breakfast. He didn't care about these contempt at all, but anyway, Han Tiancheng had been guilty. After a long time, Han Feng would not persuade him. Breakfast is cold, and other Korean families will naturally not be treated like this, but Han Tianchung and Han Feng are different. Han Feng didn't care about it, and even wanted to rely on it to motivate his father's fighting spirit. Don't be so cowardly. It's useless. Eventually, Han Feng gave up. If it wasn't for this period of time, the matter would be revealed. Under the veil of mystery, Han Feng might interfere in this matter. The current Han Feng does not expect his father to change his cowardly temperament. Han Feng's depression is more than just such a thing. How can he say that his father is also a handsome man, and I heard that his mother is even more beautiful? Why is his appearance so ordinary? Just barely close to Qingshou, why does this make him such a transcendence person feel so embarrassed? After eating, Han Feng got up and left, preparing to return to his room to continue uncovering the mystery. Master, just after training, the old slave boiled hot water for the master, let the master wash his body. As soon as Han Feng entered his room, an old man stepped forward and smiled. Yu Lao, thank you very much. Han Feng said with a gentle expression. Yu Lao was sent by Han Feng's mother to take care of Han Feng's growth. In Han's family, no one dared to provoke Yu Lao. According to reports, Yu Lao is probably a master of Zon level. Yu reading www.yuakanshu.com can said to be the #1 master in Renjiangcheng. It is a pity that Yu Lao's focus is only on Han Feng, and he doesn't care about the others. Otherwise, by relying solely on Yu Lao, the Han family's status in Renjiangcheng will be elevated to the top in one fell swoop. It is precisely because of Yu Lao's existence that the Han family only dared to say some gossip about Han Tianchung and Han Feng in secret, but did not dare to do anything bad. So in the past 10 years, Han Feng's life is not bad, but not bad. In fact, Han Feng had some impressions of his own life experience because he was a traveler, but he learned more from Yu Lao. It is estimated that in the entire Han family, only Yu is old. Han Feng and the person involved, Han Tianchung, knew that Han Tianchung was forced to do so, not that Han Tianchung took the initiative to force Han Feng's biological mother. After had ordered everything, Yu Lao left the room. Han Feng cleaned his body cleanly, and then sat on the bed with his 5 hearts facing the sky. The basic practice of the cultivator Han family gradually, weak internal energy is generated from Yi Han's dantian and flows into the body meridians, but when passing the heart position, it instantly enters a certain place. Han Feng has just cultivated his inner strength was absorbed completely. At the same time, the position of Yi Han's heart gradually flashed a faint golden and red light. The reason why Han Feng couldn't store his internal energy in his dantian in recent years was because of the strange golden red complexion in his heart. Han Feng does not know what the golden and red light is, but Han Feng knows that as long as he solves such a mystery, it will definitely be of great help to the future path of cultivation. Therefore, Han Feng will always keep this golden red. The two-color light swallows the internal energy that has been produced over the years. It is just Han Feng's instinct to say why he thinks this way. Sometimes Han Feng wonders if this is a trap. If there is any danger, then it will be over. But then Han Feng thought that the martial artist is divided into the 4th stage of the heaven and the earth, and the inferior aptitude of the district will be the best in the future. Human rank 11 and 2 stars, it's amazing, getting some opportunities, it's just a mysterious rank. Zanjia also dominates in a small place, but for the entire Great Jin Kingdom, it is nothing. And around the Great Jin Kingdom, there are even more powerful and larger empires. Thinking about the possibility of future Han Feng's heart was full of unwillingness when he would just shrink in a small corner of the empire. When came across, Han Feng naturally had some memories since he was a child. Han Feng will always remember that his grandfather, the head of the Han family, Han Yu, faced the humbleness of his mother and family. Han Feng would rather take a gamble than to live so humbly in the future. It's a big deal. But if it is really a treasure, it is a big opportunity. Han Feng took a deep breath, the basic exercises kept running, and the route of operation was even more familiar. Constantly weak internal energy is generated from Hanfeng Dantian, and then absorbed by the golden and red light in the heart. Han Feng faintly felt that the veil of golden and red light was about to unfold. In the early morning of the next day, Han Feng's whole body suddenly shook, and the golden and red rays of light in his heart flew out instantly, turning into a golden and red pagoda in Han Feng's startled eyes. This is... Han Feng's surprise is not a small one. This pagoda, isn't it the bargain I bought at the stall before I crossed it? Could it be that I crossed in my sleep because of this strange little tower? Thinking of this, Han Feng was a bit hideous in an instant. Although Han Feng's life was not good before he came here, it is better than the current world full of warriors, at least in the previous world. As long as he doesn't get big shots, life safety within a certain range is still very guaranteed. But here, killing is casual. Not long after, Han Feng was deflated again. It's fine, now that it has come. All the past lives have disappeared, and I will be Han Feng in the future, and I will only be Han Feng. At this time, the golden and red pagoda flew into Han Feng's heart again and slipped into it. The next moment, a golden red pagoda tattoo appeared at the mouth of the heart. Han Feng reached out and touched it, and he could still feel some temperature. Suddenly, Han Feng's eyes went black and he came directly to a hall. Looked around the main hall, except for the cauldron in the center, everything else was clean and there was nothing, looking extremely empty. Where is this place? Could it be the golden and red pagoda space just now? What Han Feng can think of is nothing more than that. Boom! The whole hall trembled quickly. The golden and red rays of light flourished. A powerful pressure filled the whole hall. Han Feng was pale. Under this pressure, Han Feng felt that he was like an ant under the sky and the earth. Tiny can't be smaller. Before long, the golden and red rays of light turned into two beams, and they shot at Han Feng in an instant. Han Feng wanted to evade, but the golden and red rays of light were extremely fast, not to mention that Han Feng is not even a warrior of the ordinary rank. Even the human rank, the profound rank powerhouse, may not be able to dodge past. What? With a scream, the golden and red light has enveloped Han Feng. Han Feng only felt that his head was flooded with a lot of information, as if he was going to blow his entire head directly. Han Feng looked savage, with blue veins on his forehead, rolling around on the ground holding his head. After a short while, his whole body was wet, just as if he had been soaked in water. It hurts. It hurts. Asterisk 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 it. Is this really going to hurt me? Damn it, what the asterisk 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 is always filling my head. No, I can't faint. If I faint and I won't wake up again, won't my life be ruined here? I live my life again, should I just die like this? I want to practice. I want to become a warrior. More importantly, I want to become a high-level warrior. What's the matter with only inferior aptitude? Who said that poor aptitude can't reach a high level? As long as I work hard, I believe there is always a way to promote poor aptitude to a higher rank martial artist. I will definitely not die here. Ah! Han Feng let out screams, but endured it abruptly. It was not until the last moment that Han Feng's eyes went dark and he passed out completely. The golden and red light gradually weakened, and finally disappeared. 2 hours later, Han Feng let out a moan and slowly woke up. I am. Han Feng straightened up, holding his head, his eyes lost. For a long time, Han Feng remembered what happened before. I'm not dead. Ha ha ha, great, I'm not dead, wait. I seem to have a lot of things in my head. Han Feng closed his eyes. In an instant, a huge amount of knowledge flashed, and Han Feng's body shook, almost fainted by the huge amount of knowledge. After swept away, Han Feng's expression was immediately overjoyed. Ha ha ha, sure enough, this is my chance. With this 9-flame Skyfire Tower, my path to the strong will be a big help. 9-flame Skyfire Tower, the treasure of Pengu Universe Avenue. Pengu Universe, www.mtlnovel.com. Many powerful magic weapons are divided into acquired soul treasure, innate soul treasure, innate supreme treasure, chaos spirit treasure and chaos supreme treasure above innate supreme treasure. Above the chaos supreme treasure, there is an extremely rare Dadao supreme treasure. The great treasure of the Great Avenue was born out of countless calamities. The 9-flame Sky Fire Pagoda is the 10th great treasure of the Great Avenue bred from the Pengu Universe Avenue. But Pengu Universe Avenue, 9 is the ultimate, according to common sense, can only have 9 avenue treasures, these 9-flame Sky Fire Tower, it can be said that the existence is not allowed. Because of this reason, when the 9-flame Sky Fire Tower was just born, it was sealed by the Avenue. After trillions of years, it fell into the hands of Han Feng by chance. There is a destiny in the dark. Han Feng is precisely the person of this 9-flame sky fire tower. The sealed 9-flame sky fire tower, after Han Feng's contact, actually unlocked some power. Pengu universe no longer allows the existence of the 9-flame sky fire tower. The 9-flame sky fire tower had to use the little energy of this unblocking, and took Han Feng across to this barren world, a world of incompleteness. Only here can the 9-flame sky fire tower really play its role. Han Feng is not pleased with the help of such heavenly treasures. Sweeping towards the great cauldron in the center of this space, Han Feng's eyes flashed red. All things melted into the flame cauldron. Can I break through the ordinary rank in a short time and reach the human rank? It is up to you. The 9-flame skyfire pagoda is divided into 9 layers, and each layer has the function of each layer. This first layer is the place where the source liquid is refined. The so-called source fluid is the spiritual fluid of all origins, and everything, as long as it has spirituality, can be refined into the source fluid through this melting pot of all things. Of course, this source liquid also has levels, high and low, the same level, but also the size of the weight. The more the amount, the more strength you can improve by taking the source liquid. It can be said that if it is in a stage where there is no bottleneck, but only the accumulation of energy in the body, the source liquid refined through the melting pot of all things, the strength will soar. If you want to refine the source liquid, you need not only the melting pot of all things, but also the abnormal fire cultivated by the user. Ordinary cultivators, what they cultivate is ordinary fire, and the power is not high. If you want to cultivate a powerful alien fire, you must use various special methods. However, there is a set of magic tricks in the all things melting flame cauldron. Through this trick, as long as there are enough fire-type heaven and earth spirits, you can cultivate a powerful alien fire. The different fires that can be cultivated are different, and the things that can be refined are also different. Some powerful spiritual things cannot be refined at all below the level of the different fire. The function of the source fluid, in addition to improving strength, has another function. To open the 2nd, 3rd, and even 7th floor of the 9-flame skyfire tower, you need source fluid energy. Even after turning on these layers, if you want to increase the level of action within this layer, you need a source solution. For example, the 2nd layer belongs to the spirit spring, and the body is immersed in it to improve the qualifications. The newly opened 2nd layer has limited qualifications. According to Han Feng's estimation, it is impossible to upgrade from low-grade qualifications to Zhongpin qualification. If you want to upgrade to a higher aptitude, you need to upgrade the spiritual spring. As long as there is enough source liquid, the highest spiritual spring in the future can completely transform ordinary people into a body of law. The energy required for this is too huge. I am afraid that it may not be possible to search the entire barren continent. Han Feng didn't feel much about this. His current level was too low, and his internal energy was completely absorbed by the 9-flame skyfire tower. Even a mortal martial artist was not considered to be a warrior. He wanted to raise Ling Quan to the highest level. Han Feng said it was too far into this lifetime. Han Feng has no confidence to reach it. Han Feng's goal right now is to break through to the human level. Han Feng stepped forward and reached out and touched the all things melting flame ding. The all things melting flaming cauldron is full of bronze color, and a prehistoric air strikes. The all things Rong Yan Ding, born within the great treasure of the Great Avenue, has existed far enough. Boom. Han Feng stretched out his hand and just touched the all things Rong Yan Ding, and a huge amount of knowledge poured into Han Feng's mind. This stock of knowledge is not as good as what Han Feng has just experienced, but it is also a lot. However, Han Feng clenched his teeth to support him, even his teeth bit his lips, and the blood flowed out of Han Feng. Blue veins appeared on the forehead, and sweat dripped down. The clothes that have dried up so hard are once again soaked. If it was the previous Han Feng, with such a knowledge reserve, he might faint to the ground directly. But after the previous forced influx of knowledge, Han Feng's willpower and mental power were vaguely improved by a notch. Although it is difficult, it will not faint. It took a full quarter of an hour before Han Feng eased off. 9 flames different fire art, this is the method for cultivating powerful different fires. Let me see, the 9 flames in different fire art has 10 levels. The first level is the foundation. What you cultivate is ordinary fire. You don't need a fire element to succeed. So that's it, the second level of cultivation is successful. It is considered to step into the threshold of alien fire. The Qingluan Jade Fire on the second floor, the Kanglan Profound Fire on the third floor. Qingluan Jade Fire can burn true essence, sizzle, and too strong. Doesn't that mean that the enemy's true essence attack can directly refining and strengthen itself? No, it should not be so perverted, there should be some restrictions, but unfortunately this will not know until I reach the second level. Moreover, it produces true essence, that's a profound rank powerhouse, it's too far away from me temporarily. Han Feng calmed down his excitement. Although he wanted to practice immediately, it was not the time yet. Han Feng continued to search for the acquired knowledge. Skyfire Seal, Skyfire Fighting Body, Skyfire Fighting Fist, Skyfire Armor. Hi, all are martial arts, but unfortunately, all of them need to break through to the human level to cultivate. It's a pity. Han Feng shook his head, temporarily put aside his plan to practice these martial arts. With a thought, Yi Han returned to the room. Suddenly, a sour smell came. It smells so bad, where is it? Cough, it turned out to be me. It should be the sweat from my body when I was suffering from those memories before, and it made me so sour. How much sweat did I shed? Han Feng immediately got up and fetched water for washing in the middle of the night. As Han Feng's young master, he would have been rationed to several maids and servants. However, due to the 9-flamed sky fire tower, Han Feng has not cultivated his internal energy until now, and is attributed to no future waste, so the family will naturally not ration it these servants, at best, or not treated badly in life. Washing off the sourness and smell all over his body, Han Feng is entangled in the bed again. Now that the 9-flamed Skyfire Tower has been opened, I don't need to absorb my internal energy anymore. With my lower grade 4th class qualification, this is already the top of the lower grade 3rd class. One night, Yu reading www.yuakanshu.com is enough to cultivate a lot. Strength. Silently operating the Han family's basic exercises, it didn't take long to produce some internal energy, which was stored in the Dantian. The current Korean style, if it urges basic boxing and basic leg techniques, or even the condensing claw technique, the power will not be spoken in a day. After 3 years of cultivation, Han Feng is no longer a novice. In one night, he accumulated more than 10 times the internal energy of novices. Fan rank warriors, unlike the human rank warriors, were not so clearly divided into 12 stars, but only the early, middle and late stages. In the early days of the mortal stage, internal energy is generated in the body, and it gradually grows, until it causes one of the 8 main channels to vibrate and breaks through, and then you can step into the middle stage of the mortal stage. If all the 8 main channels are opened up, it will be the mid-fan level Dacheng, and the next step is to condense the internal energy until it turns into true Qi, generates attributes, and finally reaches the late fan level Dacheng. Furthermore, if you open up the 12 major meridians, you can break through to the human level. In the past 3 years of cultivation, I am very proficient at this level in the early stage of the fan tier. If this continues, at most 1 month, I can get through the main line. Fan stage, the middle stage is the most difficult, and it also takes the longest. After I have cultivated these inner strengths, I can practice the 9 flames and different fire art. Once I reach the first level, I can try to refine some spiritual objects and turn them into the source liquid. By then, the most difficult middle stage of the fan tier, it should be easy to break through. In the next period of time, Han Feng will operate the first layer of the 9 flames of different fires, but there is not much time left, and the sky will be bright soon. Even if the first layer of the 9 flames of different fires is just the basics, it is not that easy. You can practice successfully. It's dawn, it's time to go to the martial arts training ground to practice, and strive to cultivate the condensing claw technique to the realm of success as soon as possible. Han Feng came to the martial arts field early, using basic boxing techniques and basic leg techniques one by one. With internal strength, Yi Han's understanding of these basic boxing techniques and leg techniques is slightly different. Gradually, there are more and more teenagers. Suddenly, one of the Han family's children is surprised. Look, Han Feng's boxing and leg techniques today are different from the past. Yes, it's more powerful than before, it's about the same as when we were practicing, isn't it? This Han family obviously guessed something. Han Lin's eyes flashed among the Han family's children. Does this waste produce internal energy? Is your physical condition better? Even if you have internal energy, it is not easy to catch up in 3 years. The younger generation under the age of 15 in the Han family, I must be the first to break through to the human level. A raging will to fight in Han Lin's heart. A family may have some contradictions, but these contradictions will definitely not be so big that they are fighting for death. Therefore, although Han Lin is angry and jealous, it is more of a competition. He wants to prove that the Han family is 15 years old. Next, he is the first person. If there is a genius in a family, it will be obliterated by jealousy, and the family will not be far from ruin and decline. Instructor Lin still arrived shortly after the Han boys arrived. Instructor Lin said lightly, "The next month we'll be practicing claw condensation. If you don't know anything, you can ask this instructor." After saying this, Instructor Lin directly sat aside, watching the Han Jarlang train. Instructor Lin is a human level 4-star powerhouse, and his vision is so vicious. For many Korean teenagers, whether their cultivation progress is progressing or regressing, Instructor Lin can know just by looking at it. When Instructor Lin's eyes were placed on Han Feng, he suddenly brightened, and then he was shocked. This phenomenon, is it. Instructor Lin suddenly stood up. "Han Feng, come here." Han Feng seemed to have expected this result long ago. When Instructor Lin called him, he quickly stepped forward to Instructor Lin. Instructor Lin grabbed Yi Han's wrist abruptly and closed his eyes for a long time before opening his eyes in surprise and said, "Han Feng, is your sickness that your inner strength disappeared for no reason?" Han Feng grinned. "Yes, instructor." Instructor Lin laughed. "Okay, great, your kid's understanding is extraordinary, and now he can cultivate his inner strength, and given time, he can completely surpass this instructor." Young people under the age of 15 from the Han family are practicing under the guidance of Instructor Lin. Except for a small number of people such as Han Lin, not everyone sees the strangeness of Han Feng. At this moment, Instructor Lin laughed, and the time was unclear. What? Han Feng is all right. This is interesting. Han Feng's qualifications are 4th class, 1 class higher than Han Lin, and 2 or 3 classes higher than us. The 4th class qualification is the younger generation in the midtown of our people. Ranked in the top 10, Han Feng and Han Lin have some competition. That's not necessarily true. Han Feng is 3 years late, and Han Lin is 14 years old. He has cultivated for 4 years. Now he has entered the middle of the mortal stage. The 8 main channels and the 4th main channel are about to be opened up. I still believe that it will surpass Han Lin in 3 or 4 years, but it is unlikely to exceed Han Lin in a mere 1 or 2 years. Han Lin is a little over 14 years old. Once he reaches 15, he will join the Han family guards, or join other sects or even academies. By then, he won't be in one place. How can he compete? Instructor Lin patted Han Feng on the shoulder. "Yes, let's practice, this instructor is optimistic about you." Yes. Among the weird and complicated gazes of many Han boys, Han Feng Shiren came to the area where he had been exercising. Next to Han Lin, 2 Han boys whispered, "Han Lin, don't you teach this kid, but just now I can cultivate inner strength. Nothing compares to us." Seeing that Instructor Lin is happy, it is possible that we are all ineffective. These 2 teenagers are not easy to cultivate. One of them has reached the peak of the early stage of the mortal stage. Only 1 step away, he can get through the main channel and enter the middle stage of the mortal stage. And the other one, surprisingly, was about to get through the 2nd main line. Among the many Han youths, the cultivation speed was at the forefront, and there were few that could overwhelm him. These 2 teenagers have always respected Han Lin. Han Lin is Han Tianmu, the son of Han Feng's 3rd uncle. Like Han Feng, he is a direct line of the Han family. And they are just byproducts. If Han Feng couldn't cultivate his inner strength before, their status is absolutely impossible to compare with Han Feng. Now that Han Feng has cultivated his inner strength, if the illness is really cured, the 2 teenagers know in their hearts that it will not be long before Han Feng's status will be much higher than that of them. Born in a collateral family, but far from being jealous of Han Fengning's previous 2 teenagers, they are extremely unbalanced. Han Lin's eyes suddenly became cold when he heard the words. He glanced at the two young men coldly, and said coldly, "No matter how Han Feng is not up to date, he is also my cousin. Let me teach Han Feng. What are your thoughts?" The two teenagers were shocked, dripping with cold sweat. Han Lin's eyes slowed and he said indifferently, "Han Ji Yu, Han Lai, I have guessed some of your thoughts. Han Feng is an orthodox family, and it is normal for you to have a higher status than you. If you don't even see this through, you don't have to follow me in the future. What's more, Han Feng is now able to cultivate his inner strength, so don't provoke him at will." Although Han Lin had some prejudice against Han Feng's father, and this prejudice also spread to Han Feng, he was also a blood brother, so Han Lin was able to teach Han Feng a lesson. Not to mention that Han Feng has just cultivated his internal energy, and he is very different from him, the mid-mortal master who has already got through the three main lines. With Han Lin's character, he can't bully the small. Han Ji Yu and Han Lai nodded and said yes. They almost forgot, no matter how Han Feng is, they are also with Han Lin's family. They came from sidelines, and they also wanted to provoke an infighting between two direct brothers. The senior management knows that their parents will also be affected. Han Lai hesitated and said, "Han Lin, are you not afraid that Han Feng will fight with you? You know, under the age of 15, the glory of the first person in the younger generation is highly valued in the Han family, and the first person to break through the ranks will also receive a lot of rewards, and it will be able to open up peers. Less distance." Han Lin was very calm. "In more than half a year, 9 or 10 months, I will be 15 years old. Do you think Han Feng will be able to surpass me in more than 6 months? Han Lai was taken aback, then smiled and shook his head quickly. How could it be possible that even if Han Feng's qualifications are higher than Han Lin's qualifications, it is only one grade higher, one is the 4th grade and the other is the 5th grade. They are both low-grade middle-grade qualifications, and the gap between them is not so big that it is so big. The degree of looking up. Han Ji Yu cautiously said at this time, "Han Lin, even if we don't trouble Han Feng, others may not." Han Lin snorted, "Then it depends on Han Feng himself. I will not take the initiative to target him, but I will not protect him." About half an hour later, Instructor Lin finally couldn't sit still, and said loudly, "Little boys, you cultivate slowly, and the time is up to disband yourself." After saying this, Instructor Lin walked away quickly. All the teenagers knew that this was to report to the Patriarch, the 4th class qualification, in the entire Han family, only a very small part, the 3rd class qualification, there is only one, or a girl. This girl, Han Feng also knows. Speaking of which, Han Feng still calls this girl his cousin. Unfortunately, the younger generation of the Han family, girls and teenagers are trained separately, and even the instructors are different, so Han Feng cannot see this girl here. As soon as the instructor Lin left, the discussion among the many Han teenagers gradually became louder and buzzed. Everyone knows what the 4th class qualifications mean. The current head of the Han family, as well as Han Lin's father and other real senior officials of the Han family, are basically only 5th class qualifications. Although Han Feng had a 4th class qualification before, he could not produce internal energy due to various reasons. Now the problem has been resolved and he has been able to exert the true power of the 4th class qualification. It is conceivable that it will not be long before Han Feng will be able to learn from them. Jumped out from the middle and became the best. This makes a group of half-sized kids full of envy and jealousy. In the crowd, a burly young man who was covered in black and autumn gritted his teeth. "Damn it, once Han Feng surpasses me, I will be the bottom of the goods. No, before that, I must show my power, so that in the future Han Feng surpasses me, it won't be too shameful. And I just cursed Han Feng a few days ago. If Han Feng takes his grudges, I will definitely not get better in the future. Instead of being squeezed out by Han Feng in the future, it is better to teach him and leave him a stain." Thinking of this person strode towards Han Feng. "Ha ha ha, Han Feng, congratulations, now that the problem of internal energy is solved, it will be soaring in the future." The young Korean Feng handed over with a smiling face. This behavior shocked many young people around. "This guy in Cuba, didn't you not understand Han Feng before, why now? Hey, I think Cuba wants to please Han Feng, so as not to be warned by Han Feng in the future. Now Han Feng has been able to cultivate his inner strength, relying on the 4th class qualification, it is no longer the same as before. Tisk tisk, not necessarily, this guy in Cuba is very sinister, the more sincere he smiles now, maybe. Han Lin glanced at this side, and soon he calmly practiced the claw condensation technique. Cuba looked to Han Lin like a waste. After 3 years of training, he is still in the early stage of the mortal stage, and in the early stage of the mortal stage, he is only inferior. If the total internal energy of the early fan stage had a division and it was 100, then Cuba's internal energy would only be 20 or 30 to death. This internal strength, Han Lin only took 2 months to achieve it. Han Lin smiled weirdly, and secretly said, "Let this trash test the strength of my cousin." Han Feng looked at Cuba calmly, but he became vigilant in his heart. Just a few days ago, the two of them had some disputes. Han Feng is even more clear about Cuba's behavior. Cuba cannot be pleased so soon. Cuba does not have the surname Han, which means that Cuba's father is just a servant of the Han family, but he can come here for training. Cuba's father is among the servants and can be regarded as a high-ranking existence. As long as Cuba breaks through to the human rank, he can be given the surname Han. Han Feng knows that, as the son of a slave, Cuba's status here can be said to be in the lower ranks. Finally, there is a direct line member who can't produce internal energy waste. Cuba naturally targets him intentionally or unintentionally, and it's better for the Han family. The direct line of that strong jealousy. Now that his symptoms are intact, how can Cuba give up, whether it is to vent his anger or to prevent him from taking action against him in the future? Cuba will do something. Of course, on the surface, Han Feng said with a smile on his face, "Yifei soared up to the sky too much. There is a big gap between me and everyone. How can it be so easy to catch up? It's just hard work to improve my strength." Cuba laughed again. "Speaking of which, every time we train, we will practice martial arts in pairs. In the past, you couldn't generate internal energy and no one played against you. This time, how about letting me play with you?" On the surface, it was just a friendly discussion, but in fact, Han Feng sneered in his heart. Sure enough, it's not a good intention. Even if I can generate internal energy now, how much can I cultivate in one night? It seems that this Cuba intends to put a trace of indelible stain on my future record. Think about it, in the future, he will really become a senior of the Han family. This stain will greatly reduce his prestige, www.mtlnovel.com. Unless his strength is so high that the entire Han family will look up in the future, this stain will be ignored. Cuba still looked at Han Feng with a smile. How about it? My proposal is not bad, you know, only in the battle can you detect your own shortcomings and improve. Or, Han Feng, you look down on me, the son of a servant, and don't want to fight with me. At the end, Cuba's face suddenly sank. Han Feng scolded in his heart that there were too many servants of the Han family not surnamed Han. Han Feng believed that as long as he said yes, in the afternoon, the whole servants of the Han family not surnamed Han would know about it. Many slaves bear hatred, and life will not be easy until they grow up. At this time, the young people who noticed here also understood Cuba's plan, and each of them cursed Cuba for cunning in their hearts, but looked at Han Feng with gloat. Many people are also jealous of Han Feng. If it were the beginning, Han Feng would be able to display the strength of the 4th class qualifications. These people would not be so. But at the beginning, Han Feng could not generate internal energy. In their perception, Han Feng and waste are no different. Suddenly, Han Feng's symptoms healed, and he was promoted from waste to Han family's 1st class genius. The sharp gap between before and after made a group of half-and children unbalanced. Jealousy, also produced from this. Oh, now Han Feng is in trouble. Although Cuba is useless, he has cultivated for 3 years. Han Feng has only cultivated his inner strength for 1 night. I am afraid it will add a stain to his life. Hey, even if Han Feng is stronger than us in the future, there is this stain, we don't have to be afraid of him. That's right. Yes. It's a pity, it's a pity. Han Lin also noticed at this time and touched his chin. This Cuban's brain is not stupid. He didn't directly challenge him. Instead, he chose to compete. It's normal to miss a hand during the contest. After all, I went straight up to provoke. Even if I teach Han Feng, I will not let him go. The senior family knows that the Cuban father and son will not be better. And Cuba also knows to dig a trap for Han Feng. Now Han Feng is afraid that he will be in a dilemma. If he accepts it, he will be taught a lesson. If his character is destroyed, even if he has high qualifications, his future achievements will be limited. If you don't pick it up, if you stumble in secret by those servants, your life will not be better in the future. As Han Lin and Han Feng thought, Cuba had exactly this plan. Han Feng was worried, but after practicing for a whole night, he produced too little internal energy. How to win? If Cuba's total internal energy at the moment is only 20 or 30, then Han Feng is at most 2 or 3. This is the internal energy that Han Feng once cultivated to expand the meridians. Otherwise, it would be impossible to cultivate even a single internal energy in just one night. Hanlin, as a 5th class qualification, didn't it take 2 months to cultivate to the state of Cuba at this moment? On average, he only had half of his internal energy per day, or even less than half of his internal energy. It seems that we can only use some special means. A weird smile flashed across Han Feng's face. This smile was seen by Cuba. I don't know what happened, and my heart suddenly shook. How could it be possible to throw out this idea soon? At this time, Cuba heard the faint voice of Han Feng. I agree. Almost all the teenagers around turned their attention to Cuba and Han Feng. Hearing Han Feng's agreement, they were all excited and inexplicable, waiting for Han Feng to be beaten by Cuba. Cuba laughed wildly, but with a silly smile on his face. Han Feng, you are such a genius, but you have to be merciful. Without waiting for Yi Han to reply, Cuba took the lead. He was despicable and shameless. The Han boy who dared to see next to him could not help but despise Cuba. But Han Feng and everyone understand it differently. Although Han Feng was only an ordinary person in his previous life, he has been in society for a year or two. Fairness doesn't exist at the beginning, especially in another world, where the battle is only to win or lose. As long as you win, as long as you live. I have to give a few reminders before the test. It is not necessary at all. So, the group of teenagers in the Han family are really naive. Han Feng had long been awakened and had been vigilant against Cuba. So when he shot in Cuba, Han Feng didn't panic at all. He only saw Han Feng's footsteps turn slightly, waving his arms, and directly blocking Cuba's punch. What? No sneak attack. Cuba didn't succeed, and he was taken aback. Although Cuba is a bit more insidious, it is only a mere 13-year-old boy with a weak combat consciousness, which is completely incomparable with Instructor Lin and others. This stunned situation gave Han Feng a chance. Han Feng swept his lower leg directly. Cuba lost his balance when his leg hurts, and he planted on the ground, which made Cuba immediately recover. As soon as he put his hands on the ground, he had to jump back with his hands. However, Yi Han had already launched 9 rounds of boxing and hit Cuba in an unstoppable bombardment, knocking Cuba out directly, and fell to the ground embarrassedly. The teenagers all around were stunned. This Cuba is too useless. Han Feng has just cultivated his internal energy. No, it's not that Cuba is too useless, but that Han Feng's fighting consciousness is stronger than Cuba. Cuba is the weakest among us. On weekdays, almost no one will team up with him to fight each other. Everything is fake. If you make a move, Han Feng will never have a chance to take advantage of. At best, he will suffer both losses, not as it is now. Cuba was careless before, and the internal strength was almost useless, and then Han Feng will be dangerous. A few Han juveniles with extraordinary eyesight commented. Han Lin's eyes flashed. Although Cuba is useless, but 3 years of internal strength training, the physical body is extraordinary. The previous Han Feng's basic long punch only used a small part of the internal strength, which could not cause much harm to Cuba. As Han Lin said, Cuba quickly stood up. A trace of anger flashed on his face, and quickly pressed down. This is just a test. He can miss, but if he looks angry, it is deliberate. Can't hide it. Cuba resisted the disgust of Han Feng, and put on an ugly smile. As expected of a genius with 4th class qualifications, I have only cultivated my inner strength for 1 day, and I will be at a disadvantage, then. The words were not finished. Cuba made another quick move, and still attacked. Han Feng retreated abruptly, sneered in his heart. I was not fooled the first time. How could I be fooled the second time? Unfortunately, I don't have enough internal energy in my body. If I want to hurt Cuba, I can only use claw condensation, and only once. Opportunity, otherwise there is no internal strength, and the power of claw condensation won't be able to show even 1/10. But I have only practiced claw condensation for a day, and I can only use it without error. Reading www.uakanshu.com wants to cause the damage of claw condensation. It takes a period of preparation time. Cuba can't let me have this opportunity. It looks like it can only be as trivial as I thought before. Cuba learned the lessons from the past, and he didn't dare to care about Han Feng, and his internal energy kept surging, punching and even kicking in succession. Basic Changquan and basic leg skills are inferior basic martial arts, which can be called the basics of the basics, but under the blessing of internal strength, the power is still good, and every time a punch or even a leg is thrown, there will be a buzzing sound. Under such an attack, Han Feng had to dodge an embarrassment, and he didn't even dare to resist directly. Once directly contacted, the internal strength of Cuba erupted, and Han Feng would definitely suffer serious injuries. Gradually, Cuba's offensive slowed down. After all, Cuba's total internal energy was not much. However, even so, Cuba only took a few breaths, while Yi Han was sweating profusely and his clothes were damaged, embarrassed. Cuba finally couldn't help but roar. Han Feng, do you have the courage? Don't hide if you have the ability. Han Feng smiled weirdly. The opportunity is here, I won't hide again next time. Abruptly, Han Feng attacked Cuba, and Cuba grinned in his heart. Even if I don't have much internal energy remaining in my body, I will not be afraid of you. But just when Cuba was about to punch and resist Han Feng moved his feet, his internal strength exploded, his speed soared, and he turned directly behind Cuba. Just listen to Han Feng's burst of shout, Baoju a finger. Just listen to Han Feng's burst of shout, Baoju a finger. Under various plans, Han Feng finally broke out a real blow. In this battle, Han Feng has only experienced two internal strengths. One time was when Cuba first attacked. After Han Feng resisted, he blasted Cuba out. Han Feng believes that Cuba was so frightened that he was furious in his heart. After 3 years of training, he was beaten by someone who had cultivated his inner strength for a day. This record is enough to make Cuba a laughingstock among a group of Korean teenagers. Since then, Han Feng kept dodge. Although embarrassed, it was not a big problem. This would surely make Cuba's anger that had risen in his heart soared again, and the offensive was messy. Every punch would waste a lot of energy and physical strength. In this way, Han Feng is not only easier to dodge, but also easier to cover up the real blow. Under the second burst of increased speed, Cuba, which has already been filled with anger, naturally has no other way to think about it. His heart is full of violent knocking of Han Feng. In this way, Han Feng easily moved behind Cuba at a swift speed. Of course, this is also Cuba wasted a lot of physical strength and internal energy, otherwise it would not be easy for Han Feng to easily move behind Cuba by speed. At the same time, Cuba is too young to have sufficient combat awareness. Han Feng's method is okay when used on Cuba. The use of Instructor Lin and other fighters who often fight with Warcraft may not have much effect. It might even be seen through by Instructor Lin at first. Too small internal energy erupted in succession. Han Feng had little internal energy left in his body, and all the remaining internal energy was used on Boju's finger. Increase the destructive power of the two index fingers. As a warrior, under the inner strength, his physical quality is very different from ordinary people, far beyond ordinary people. When the martial artist reaches the advanced level, even if the internal energy is not running, the ordinary person will hit the martial artist with a fist, and the martial artist will not frown, unless it is attacking some weakness, such as the throat, such as the crotch. Even if Cuba is a bit annoying, it is also a servant of the Han family. Han Feng will naturally not kill, so attacking the throat and crotch is not in Han Feng's consideration. If one fails to pay attention, it will kill Cuba or break Cuba's root, but it's not good. After was eliminated, the chrysanthemum entered Han Feng's eyes. Compared with the throat and the crotch, the chrysanthemum is also a weakness, but in comparison, as long as the attack on the chrysanthemum is properly controlled, it will not cause any fatal danger to Cuba. At most, the chrysanthemum hurts for a few days, lying on the bed for a few days. A few days later, Han Feng believed that even without this trivial trick, it would be enough to deal with Cuba. Cuba has very little physical strength and internal energy left. How can he withstand Han Feng's extremely awkward move? And on the spot a scream of weeping ghosts roared. The many Han Jajilang onlookers were stunned, their hips unconsciously clamped. It really hurts. Okay, so scary, my god. Woo woo woo, brother Han Feng is terrible, I'm looking for mother. This is what the 10-year-old boy who just joined has said. Han Feng's behavior left a huge shadow in their young hearts, which directly caused Han Feng's image in their hearts to transform to a metamorphosis level. Many children and adolescents looked at Han Feng in horror, and unconsciously stepped back a few steps. Looking at Cuba, they were already full of sympathy. Han Lin's mouth twitched and looked at all of this, touched his **** subconsciously, wiped off the cold sweat from the top of his head, and silently walked to other positions and started practicing martial arts. Han Lai and Han Ji Yu swallowed and spit. Han Lai. Fortunately, Han Lin did not go. Han Feng is too insidious. Even if Han Lin is strong, he is very likely to be recruited. Suddenly Han Lin was lying on the ground with painful expression in their minds. The chrysanthemum was raised high, and the sight of blood spurting out, a shiver, and the two of them immediately left the surrounding crowd watching the crowd. When Han Lin saw the faces of the two of them, he knew what they were thinking. He was furious at the moment. What are you thinking about? Why don't you give me practice? I will ask you to practice claw condensation later. The two suddenly burst into tears. Boss Han Lin, no. There are not a few people who leave silently like Han Lin. After all, they are teenagers under the age of 15. They have too little experience. They fight with each other, which is just bruising and bleeding. It's too heavy in taste. If some desperados were here, they would have their eyes brightened. This is really a big trick for the Yin people. Among the crowd, two teenagers squeezed out in embarrassment. The two of them, among the Han Jia Erlang, were also close friends. They were friends with Cuba. Among the weak hum of Cuba, they took Cuba away, and as I walked, I looked back at Han Feng from time to time, for fear that Han Feng would come to them too. With this cautious gaze, Han Feng's mouth twitched. Until it was determined that Han Feng could not attack them to explode the chrysanthemum, the two drove away in Cuba. The old man with almost no hair looked at Cuba in shock at the Han family medical clinic. His uncle, his training is getting more and more lackluster now, and even the chrysanthemum is coming out. Two teenagers, www.mtlnovel.com. One of the scalp numbs. Old Han, the injury in Cuba. Old Han waved his hand. It's okay, it didn't go too deep, just lie down for 7 or 8 days. The two teenagers breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that Han Feng's move is also measured. When the two returned to the training ground, the training time was almost up. People started to leave one after another. Han Feng couldn't stand it for a long time, so he drove off and washed his fingers. In a hall of the Han family, a thin old man sat tall and his hands were exposed, very dry. Facing such an old man, Instructor Lin was very respectful. As the strongest of the Han family, his strength reached 10 stars, and his seemingly shriveled hands contained great strength, forcibly tearing the height of the two. The behemoth is also extremely relaxed. This old man is exactly the head of the Han family Han Yu. Under Han Yu, 3 figures stand separately. The first figure, looking at him about 40 years old, is tall, the tallest of the 3, standing there, like a bear. This person is the eldest son of Han Yu, the uncle of Han Feng, Han Tianxing, who exists at the peak of the 9-star rank. The second figure is the shortest among the 3 figures. It has the same appearance of about 40 years old, and at the same time the figure is also very thin, looking like a stick. Instructor Lin was even more afraid of this second figure than Han Tianxing. This person is Han Yu's second son, Han Feng's second uncle Han Tianli. Han Tianli practiced thief-like body techniques, and his speed was extremely fast. If one didn't pay attention, he might be assassinated. Instructor Lin cultivates straight, hard-to-hard exercises, and the most annoying and fearful of such warriors. This is also the reason why Han Tianxing's cultivation is obviously stronger than Han Tianli, but Instructor Lin is more afraid of Han Tianli. The third figure looks like a normal person, with an ordinary face, thrown in the crowd. I am afraid that it will be ignored immediately, but the slightly opened eyes of this person flashed sharply from time to time, showing this person the extraordinary. This person is Han Yu's third son, Han Tianmu, the third uncle of Han Feng. Han Tianxing, Han Tianli, and Han Tianmu, the cultivation bases of the three are the late stage of the 9-star human stage, the middle stage of the 9-star human stage, and the early stage of the 9-star human stage. Han Yu looked excited at the moment. Lin Yu, what you said is true. Feng Er can really cultivate inner strength. Instructor Lin immediately said. Go home, it's true. I have already investigated. The internal energy in Han Feng is equivalent to the internal energy of a 5th level aptitude person who has cultivated for 7 or 8 days. Han Yu looked incredulous. How is this possible? Even if Feng Er has a 4th class qualification, it is 1 class higher than a 5th class qualification, but 1 night is equivalent to Lin Er 7 or 8 days. It's a bit weird, even 2nd class. Even 1st class qualifications may not be so. Could it be that Feng Er's qualifications are middle grade? Speaking of this, Han Yu first shook his head. Feng Er's aptitude was tested by the family himself, and the old man has tested it more than once. It is indeed a low-grade 4th class aptitude, but... Han Tianxing, Han Feng's uncle said. Could it be that this kid has cultivated his inner strength a few days in advance? He didn't say it. As soon as these words came out, everyone stared at Instructor Lin closely. Instructor Lin's forehead was soaked with cold sweat, but he did not dare to wipe it off. Being watched by the 3 human rank 9-star and a human rank 10-star powerhouse, the pressure of the Instructor Lin was not normal. The gap between the human rank 4 stars and Han Yu and others is too big. Instructor Lin categorically cut the line. Han Feng definitely only cultivated his inner strength last night. Yesterday I was pretty sure that Han Feng was just an ordinary person, and when I asked today, Han Feng also admitted this. If that's the case, then why? Han Tianmu, Han Feng's third uncle, looked puzzled. Han Yu thought for a while, and said, I don't know why, but this is undoubtedly a good thing. After saying that, Han Yu smiled bitterly. You 3 brothers also know the current situation of your 4th brother. If you don't care about the relationship between father and son, it is really too much trouble for the 4th brother. There must be someone in this matter. Bear it and divert the attention of the family, otherwise the cohesion of the family will drop a lot. The 4th child is the person involved in this matter, so he will naturally bear it, and the 4th child also agrees. The incident more than 10 years ago caused the strength of our Han family to be greatly damaged. It was originally expected to be the first family in the city, but it was delayed for more than 10 years. Only now has it recovered a lot of vitality, enough to compete with the other 2. The family Mu family and Chong family contend. What my father did not expect is that many members of the family will be dissatisfied with the 4th child, and it will spread to Feng Er. As a result, Feng Er has no playmates since he was a child, and Lin Er has many dissatisfaction with Feng Er. Speaking of this, Han Tianmu looked ashamed. It's because the child hasn't been properly disciplined, so Feng Er has been blinded by Lin Er. Han Tianxing and Han Tianli also showed bitterness, as did their own children, which made them feel ashamed of the 4th. Although the 4th child made such a mistake, it was their 4th brother, the younger brother, who chased behind their buttocks and called, brother. If it were not for the 3 of them to love Han Tiancheng's 4th brother, how could Han Tiancheng develop a cowardly temperament? Whenever they think of this, the 3 feel uncomfortable in their hearts and feel that Han Tiancheng's character is caused by them. After all, there is not much time for the rise of the Han family. From Han Yu's generation to the present, but in a mere few decades, the family is not without struggle, but compared with the family that has been passed down for thousands of years, this struggle is just drizzle. Not to the point where you die. Is based on the relationship between the 4 brothers of Han Tianxing. It cannot be said that there is no contradiction, but it is indeed good. Han Yu saw the faces of the 3 brothers and waved his hands. This matter is not your fault. If you force Lin Er and the others not to embarrass Feng Er, the possibility of a reaction will be greater, and it will be more than just that. Give Feng Er a roll of eyes, maybe you can just start. But it's fine now. Feng Er has been able to cultivate inner strength. With the 4th class qualification, it will not be impossible for him to surpass me in the future. Let Fenger make some contributions to the family. It's nothing, and when that happens, there will be no need to wrong the fourth. Han Tianxing nodded. Father is right. Speaking of it, I haven't eaten with the fourth brother in more than 10 years. I secretly called the fourth brother, but although the fourth brother is mild and even cowardly, he doesn't fight or fight. But the matter of causing huge losses to the family is blaming to the extreme. It turned out to be unwilling to retreat in this matter, not at all. Originally, the family servants were allowed to stumble the fourth child, and I hoped that the fourth child could get rid of the cowardly temper, but now it seems that, because of self-blame, the fourth child is not only unscrupulous, but on the contrary, he is more and more tolerant. I just hope Fenger can break this situation. UU reading www.yuekanshu.com. At this point, Han Tianxing shook his head, slightly depressed. Suddenly, Han Tianmu chuckled. I don't think my nephew looks like the fourth brother at all. He has been very assertive since he was a child. Big brother and second brother, think about it. It's the end of the anticlimax. I think it was caused by the wind secretly. From my point of view, Fenger is a sorrowful boy. Before he had no inner strength, he could only play secretly. Now that he has the strength, he can no longer bear it. When he recovers with his fourth brother, it will not be far away. Han Tianxing and Han Tianli were startled and thoughtful. Instructor Lin was also stunned, and immediately thought that on the training ground, many people had planned to learn from Han Feng in order to bully Han Feng, but in the end it seemed that they had all changed people. Thinking about it now, it was indeed a bit weird. In the Korean-style room. In order to successfully cultivate the first level of the 9 flames and different fire art, Han Feng has put a lot of energy into it during this period. Before he knew it, 7 days passed. On this day, Han Feng felt that his cultivation had reached a bottleneck, and couldn't help being overjoyed. It's great. After 7 days of continuous cultivation, he finally reached the limit. Look at this, after 2 or 3 days, it is estimated that he will be able to successfully cultivate the first level. There is a common fire in the pubic area. Although the mortal fire of the 9 flames different fire art is not a 9 flames different fire, it is not comparable to the mortal fires of other people. According to the information on the 9 flames different fire art, it should exceed a few points or even double. And these 7 days have also greatly increased my internal strength. In the 7 days of cultivation, if the total amount of internal energy in the initial stage of fan level is 100, Han Feng has already cultivated nearly 30 internal energy at this moment. Such progress has approached the cultivation speed of Zongpin qualification. There are 2 main reasons for this. First of all, Han Feng was not unable to cultivate internal energy, but the internal energy cultivated was absorbed by the 9 flame sky fire tower, but this was not absorbed for no reason. It must be the internal energy that follows the meridian route. During this period, the meridians have been exercised. It can be said that the expansion and tenacity of the meridians of Han Feng is no less than that of the warriors at the peak of the early stage. Before breaking through to the middle of the mortal stage, Han Feng will practice at this speed between the low-grade qualifications and the middle-grade qualifications. Secondly, the 9 flames different fire art is also a powerful art. There is no specific level. It is far from the basic inner strength art that Han Feng had previously practiced. Take the first level of the 9 flames different fire art as an example. As long as Han Feng cultivates the first level, he can generate ordinary fire, no matter what level Han Feng is at, even the early stage of the ordinary fire. But other warriors, only in the later stages of the mortal stage, can they continuously condense their internal energy, and then generate attribute innocence. And if you want to produce mortal fire or mortal water and other things, you must have a human rank. These 2 major reasons have created Yi Han's rapid practice now. It's a pity that the time is still too short. In terms of the total amount of internal energy, among the Korean teenagers in the training ground, except for the 10-year-old and 11-year-old who just joined, they still belong to the lower end. But when compared with Cuba, it has faintly exceeded. The next day, the Han family training ground. A group of Han Jarlang looked at a black-faced boy with weird eyes from time to time. Han Feng looked at this boy with a smile on his face, very weird. This boy is Cuba. Cuba is very embarrassed and angry. Cuba knows that these people clearly see him, but he always has a feeling that he is actually looking at his ass. Instructor Lin frowned and sneered. What are you looking at? You still don't concentrate on cultivation. In his heart, Instructor Lin was wondering, this Cuba is not a genius, why is it attracting so many people's attention today? Could it be the reason that Cuba took sick leave before? But when have these little guys been so loved by their compatriots? Moreover, many people glanced vaguely at Cuba's ass. What is so good about a man's ass? Nowadays, the little guy is getting more and more difficult to understand. Is this the generation gap caused by age? Instructor Lin, as a member of the hunting team, has a general interest in gossip. Where do you know that the injured part of Cuba is unusual? According to the rules, after a period of practice, you will have to fight in pairs. Cuba strode towards Han Feng and said gloomily, Han Feng, can you dare to learn from me? After experiencing the exploded chrysanthemum, Cuba no longer wants to make a lot of effort. The other Han boys who were planning to compete, their ears stood upright. When they heard that Cuba and Han Feng were about to compete, they stopped discussing. They all looked around, with inexplicable expressions on their faces. Cuba is even more embarrassed and angry, but it is a pity that Cuba's face is too dark to see any abnormality. Instructor Lin has been paying attention to Han Feng since Han Feng was able to cultivate his internal energy. At this moment, I really want to see how Han Feng is. I am embarrassed to drive away the Han boys who are watching around. Han Feng chuckled. Cuba, it seems that the lesson I taught you last time was not enough. Cuba gritted his teeth. I was careless last time, and I was fooled by you. This time, I will not panic like the last time. Han Feng shrugged. 7 days ago was 7 days ago. The situation is different, don't forget, I can now cultivate my internal energy. Cuba's face sank. Just 7 days, do you want to tell me that you have passed me? Maybe it was too angry. Cuba grinned very angry. No matter how bad I am. I have practiced for 3 years, Han Feng, you are too arrogant. Instructor Lin in the distance frowned unconsciously. This Cuba, how dare to speak to Han Feng like this? Han Feng is a direct line of the family. Cuba is just the son of slaves, and the current slaves are all arrogant to this level. Let's talk about it. Where did the Instructor Lin know that this is the case in Cuba? It was completely stimulated by the explosion of chrysanthemums. The pain of being exploded, except for the person involved, who knows? Among the crowd, Han Lin's face was not good, but after thinking that Cuba had been exploded with a chrysanthemum after all, his face was distorted, and he muttered, forget it, it's probably irritating. That's why Han Feng committed the crime so blatantly. Han Feng didn't mind Cuba's anger. He smiled. If you want to fight, then fight. Cuba stomped on the ground and leapt into the air, and the basic legwork exploded with a terrifying force. Boom. With the current strength of Han Feng, how could he be kicked by Cuba and dodge directly? While on the ground, accompanied by a bang, there were footprints several millimeters deep. Cuba was full of anger. Dodge again, Han Feng, what other tricks do you have besides dodge which consumes my energy? But this time, I won't waste my energy at will. Han Feng laughed and said, don't worry, I won't hide this time. It doesn't matter if I attack directly. Basic Chengquan 9th form. Basic Chengquan 9th form. The two-fisted. Boom. Both of them were backed by the huge reaction force at the same time. www.mtlnovel.com. Han Feng took 9 steps, but Cuba took 11 steps. Make a judgment. The crowd was in an uproar. It's terrible. In just 7 days, Han Feng has surpassed Cuba. This speed is amazing. At this speed, before Han Lin leaves the training ground, it is impossible to be surpassed. I thought Han Feng was going to suffer this time, now it seems. Han Lin had an unbelievable and complicated expression. If there was no such thing as the fourth uncle, it would be great. Cuba screamed in disbelief. Impossible. It is impossible. Instructor Lin's eyes flickered one after another. It's a terrifying growth rate, comparable to the middle grade qualifications. You must tell the patriarch about today's affairs. At this moment, Cuba roared. Even so, you don't want to explode my chrysanthemum today. Han Feng can't laugh or cry. He has already surpassed Cuba in strength now, so how can he use such nasty tricks? But, Han Feng said badly, since you protect your asterisk like this, it's not good to disappoint you. After saying this, Han Feng quickly attacked Cuba. His fierce boxing and leg skills made Cuba rush into the hands and feet. He was finally spotted by Han Feng. He came to Cuba behind him. He burst into action and started again. The scream that made everyone in the Han family feel painful and familiar.